Welcome to Penny for a Tale. This is Monday night. Kind of an impromptu sort of game where we're just gonna go have fun via Trail of Cthulhu with some of my bestest friendsies.
If you mean by have fun, go terribly insane and suffer
Exactly.
greatly.
I mean, that's
that is the way of things.
Yeah.
This is the way.
Just wanted to
Yeah. Sorry, I very much enjoyed that show.
Everyone did, and for those who didn't, you're missing out.
Find somebody with a Disney Plus account
Mm-hmm.
and watch The Mandalorian.
Murder them, and it's great. Take their Disney Plus. Totally okay.
Okay, we'll go with that for now.
So,
Yeah.
are there any other intros you want to do, or I can jump right into it?
Yeah, so I'm Mitchell. Spence, why don't you introduce yourself? Then, David, you can take it away.
So hi, I'm Spence. I am a frequent player on Penny for a Tale. I am also one of the hosts of Game School on the TSR Podcast Network, and I am one of the hosts on Nostalgia Pilots, which is getting ready for season 2. So look forward to that. And I am the owner and operator of Resonant Moon Audiobook Solutions. Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
Very cool. Great
Also,
here,
please
Spence.
fix my pronouns.
Oh, sorry about that.
Thanks.
It's left from before.
So while he does that, hey David, tell us about you.
Sure. So my name is David South. I run the blog Somniac Illusions at WordPress.com, and I have been GMing for 3 years. I'm just recently with Mitchell, who is also joining us on his stream. We wrote a award-winning adventure called Rite of Passage for Symbaroum that has just recently come out, and I'm sure a link will probably be in chat somewhere. And I'm also really close to finishing a Shed of the Demon Lord adventure, which is gross and will be run on the channel to celebrate it, so you'll be able to see that there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome.
I will be running this Trail of Cthulhu scenario today as the keeper, and this is a scenario that we are calling The Flood from Below. So why don't the two of you go and introduce each of your characters? And I want to let everyone know this is a bleak 1930s Depression-era town that you're living in northern Canada. So it's a fairly isolated area, maybe 1,000 people living in this town.
Ooh.
So, Mitchell, why don't we start with you?
So I am playing Theo Calvert, a young man in his mid-20s. He is currently attending seminary in the area. He's keeps to himself most of the time. He is an enjoyer of novels and books and fiction and such like that, especially theology and old historical texts concerning Jerusalem and such. He's pretty pale with curly hair though, and kind of shiny blue eyes. He always seems to have a grimace on his face. He's not a very charismatic individual, but he tries, damn it. He tries.
Okay. And why don't we go over to Sophie?
So I am playing Safi Calvert.
Safi.
My full name is Chloe Sophia, but everybody just calls me Safi. I am 28, so I am the elder sibling. And I am also interested in educational things. I am a writer, but I write love stories because that's what I do. But all of my love stories are a bit horrific in nature.
Have you ever been in love?
Ever been in love?
Yes.
I thought so once. And then I thought, no, not quite. I am a little bit bookish. I live in an apartment above the bank. And my best friend Johnny comes to visit me every so often to lament about his mother trying to get him married off, and me trying to give him advice as far as applying to different universities.
Nice. So maybe he's like trying to get out of this town. He's trying to
yeah.
go out into the big wider world.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Boston.
I'm constantly bugging the post office about my mail.
Okay.
I want to make sure my manuscript
yeah, exactly. You got it. And I would like to point out that the mail is fairly inconsistent here.
Oh, yes.
It's one of those places where sometimes packages get lost. Sometimes you have moose tracks on them. It's a bit of a process getting things to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Moose tracks.
Well, we live in Canada in a very
Mounties. They're on to us.
So Theo, your mother, really both of your mothers, since you were two her siblings.
Because our mothers thought it was hilarious to call us Cleo and Theo.
Yes.
It's not that funny though. Not to us.
So Theo, your mother, she's always been a bit of a pain in your side. And she's the kind of woman who never took care of her health. She's got thick, like varicose veins in places. She's smoked her entire life. And she drinks herself to sleep every night. I want to know, what was the recent fight that you had with your mother that you're finding very hard to shake off? And it's difficult to remember how much you love her.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a missionary, going overseas to the developed countries and spreading the word, but she wants me to stay home in this very safe place, northern Canada. And it's just, I keep telling her that I know it's God's calling in my life, but she doesn't get it.
And so this argument might have gotten too heated. She was definitely drinking. Do you drink, Theo?
No, I do smoke though.
Okay, and what about Safi? Do you drink or smoke?
Absolutely.
Both of those things?
Any good author does.
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
Part of the
job
true. Description.
Yeah. Write drunk, edit sober.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe your family, it's been a bit dysfunctional recently. Your father passed away quite a while ago. And it's sort of just been you two taking care of your mother for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to set this scene. Your mother she hasn't been well recently, even less so than normal for her.
Okay.
And we're going to start this with one of you can decide who, out in the maybe front garden area of your place, maybe smoking or something like that. And the other person will be soon arriving.
I'll be there.
Okay. So you hear your mother call down for you. She's on the upper floor because she likes the view. Mm-hmm. She likes to be able to see the trees. And she calls out, but the way she's calling out to you, it sounds hoarse. It sounds almost gurgling. And she's Savi, get in here.
I put out my cigarette and I hitch up my skirt and go up, grabbing the pitcher of water that's just inside the door that I was getting ready to bring up there, but was a little worn out by this, and so I needed a minute. Needed a Safi minute.
Yeah, exactly. And being with your mother for too long, she just finds ways to just grind on your nerves.
Oh yeah.
And you know this woman took care of you when she was young, as she often reminds you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're thinking back to childhood memories as you begin to walk up, and you start to step under the awning, and like you feel rain dripping on your head. And there's a single drop of water that goes into the pitcher that you're holding. And it's almost like when you take food coloring and put it into clear water,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like the rain must have been a little bit darker than the water that you had in, because you can sort of see like a little bit of a faint cloud spreading out.
Does it, like, if I stir the water, does it clear up at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. Little dirt never killed anybody. And I keep walking upstairs.
So with the creaking of your footsteps, your body feels tired and old, as though you were much older than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Living in Canada in this time, you don't have access to a lot of vital things. Matter of fact, there's even been some rumors of scurvy around, simply because citrus in the Depression is not easy to come by. There's not many traders that are willing to ship it so far when it's not going to last. And we're going to switch over to Theo as Safi steps into the threshold. And Theo, where were you?
Theo is currently in the kitchen, reading the Bible. He is very neat. Has his suspenders up and his glasses on the bridge of his nose as he's staring down.
What passage of the Bible?
He is currently looking at the story of Lazarus with Mary and Martha.
Nice. So you might be a little bit annoyed that your mother didn't even call for you, even though you're in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly there's some remnants emotionally of the previous fight.
Yeah.
And so, Safi, do you say anything to Theo as you come inside smelling of smoke? I cannot hear you.
Perhaps because I muted myself. I walk by, I give a little sigh and a shrug, and I just head on up.
So the smell of old newspapers and smoke that's been stale in a house that's been smoked in for years and years and years is what you sort of, it's so natural to you that you don't really notice it anymore. But for some reason today it seems oddly pungent. Maybe it's the fact that it's mixed with the smell of the rain.
Maybe.
As you come inside, your mother is sitting there in a big armchair, and she's collapsed in it. It almost reminds you of some sort of king from the Bible or other great times where the king is just lounging across a throne, but in this case it doesn't give that feeling of power. It makes her look collapsed, spineless. And you can see that there are splotches on her skin, and her eyes are a little bit yellow. And she says, "What took you so long?"
Well, I had to get a pitcher, and then I needed a moment.
Will you pour me some water? I'm really thirsty.
And so I get a glass from the bedside table and pour it for her.
She takes it without thanking you, and she immediately takes it all down. And you're thinking maybe this is a positive thing, because she hasn't really been drinking much other than when her friends bring her whiskey.
Right.
And so she looks at you and she says, "You love your mama, right?"
Yes, obviously.
I know I haven't always been the best. But you two haven't been the best children either. And so we're here for each other, and we got to do it. Your brother may be a bit of a pain, always bringing his religion in places where it don't belong. But you're a smart person, right? You got your whole book out. You got to be proud of that.
I suppose. I mean, writing brings in money, and goodness knows there are enough lonely people in the world that look to books for some kind of comfort.
Well, at least one of my kids is a success. And I just, come here, please. And she like sort of opens her arm for a hug, which you haven't done in probably years.
Sorry, Mother, I can't get sick. I have too many deadlines.
She's just gonna like hold it for a sec and okay, I see.
But I'm sure if you would actually talk to Theo instead of yelling at him, he would be willing to give you the comfort that you need.
Fine, will you go get him?
I go down the hall and I go down to the kitchen and say, Mother's asking for you.
Are you sure?
Specifically, yes.
All right.
And as you go by, I just like put my hand on your shoulder and give you a little squeeze for confidence.
Hopefully it doesn't end up being a fight.
So Theo, as you close your Bible and stand up to go, you hear the sound of paper ripping a little bit. You sort of didn't close it properly and pulled your hand out, probably because you were a little bit distracted.
I look down at the Bible and see what page is kind of ripped.
It's one of the pages of Lazarus that you were reading, and it's sort of like where one of the pages has been torn off a little, and it's probably going to fall out.
You should probably leave that down here. Anything from this book that would serve you is probably well in your head already.
You both hear a voice from up the stairs that says, "Kids, what's taking you so long? Get up here."
I'm coming, Mother. And I'll place the Bible down on the table and head upstairs.
Was it Mother's voice that said that? Okay.
Yeah, it's only the three of you living in this house.
Got it. Just wanted to be sure.
Mm-hmm. She says, "Sophie, Chloe, are you coming up here? Come on."
And I go upstairs and leave the Bible where it is.
You can hear the sound of rain falling off from the roof onto the ground. You can see it sort of making these puddles. It's beginning to rain harder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the smell of the rain is filling this place. There's not great ventilation, but you can still tell the smokiness is almost being overridden by the smell of the rain. And normally the rain smells clean, and now the rain just sort of smells like muck.
Mm. If I see any open windows on the way up the stairs, I'll close them.
Okay. So, Theo, as you get there first, what do you say? You see your mother lounging in front of you on this sagging chair.
Good morning, Mother. How are you feeling?
I don't feel clean. I feel really, really shitty.
Now, Mom, you know how I feel about curse words.
Well, it's darn impressive that you have such a moral standing son, Sonny boy, love of my life, wonder child.
Ma, you know I can hear the sarcasm in your voice.
They didn't teach you about that in seminary?
Oh, he got much of a lesson at home. I walk in.
You know, they say this rain's been coming for a long time.
Who said that, Mom? No one said that.
Your father said it. His father said it.
But Father's been dead for a lot of many
You think
many
I don't
years.
know that? I'm aware of that.
Okay. So why does something that they may have said to you years ago matter now?
Because everybody knows this. And it's something that I thought you all would have figured out, but you haven't.
Mom, have you been drinking again? this morning. I mean, it's not even like 10.
I
She just
swept
sort of
the
like
room
belches.
already.
And it does smell like alcohol, so somehow she found alcohol. It almost smells like rubbing alcohol.
I go to her bathroom
hmm
to see if the rubbing alcohol is missing.
It appears to be, as well as the hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, lovely.
You also think that there may have been like a little bit more soap than there was previously. She says, I'm really thirsty. Dear, can you get me a glass?
I get the glass that she was drinking from and refill it from the pitcher.
And she, much the same way, she drinks it again, straight down the hatch. And she sort of sets it down and makes the glass tinkle a little bit against the wood counter that she sets it on. She says, you smell that? I can smell, it smells different.
It's just rain. It's moisture before the storm.
Probably came up from the States.
You know, I can leave the house. And I do sometimes. I know you two don't want me to, but sometimes I do. I get my walker and I walk around late at night when you two are asleep or doing God knows what in your rooms.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, if a bear gets you, then a bear gets you.
if
It's
a
not
bear got me, that would be the
safe.
end of my worries. No, that's not true. But I just hate this place.
What, the house or the town?
This whole goddamn island that we live on, I hate this town, and ever since your father brought me here, I've hated it.
So why haven't you asked us to move?
Because you die out there. You die without me.
No, I mean, like, bring you to somewhere else.
We don't have enough money to move somewhere. We barely have enough money to keep the house as it is. And though you're the successful one, at least you have some money, but you don't have enough money to move us. America, their money's worth more than ours is, and theirs is worth nothing.
Look, Ma, we're not going to be here forever. There'll come a time where we'll probably put you in a home where the years are few. So that's something to look forward to. Maybe
We weren't
Oh, yeah,
supposed to
putting me
be
in a
talking
home?
about that.
I'm just, if she hates this place so much, maybe it's just better that she knows so she has something to look forward to.
I just look, kids, I do love you. I know that it doesn't seem like I do at times.
That's not love then.
Love sometimes is more than just giving each other presents and saying attaboy.
Yeah, but
Love is sometimes keeping things from you. Until you're ready to hear it.
the cliche is I love you even though I don't show it. That's just someone trying to relieve the guilt in their own hearts.
I want to use that in my next story. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. And I have a pocket. So I have pockets. And I take out this book and write down that line. Never stop working.
So she says, kids, your mama's got something I got to tell you.
Why are you speaking in the third person?
I do what I want, all right? But
All right.
I'm unclean. And I think that there's someone who can help.
I mean, there is, Mom. We've been talking about it for a long time.
You know Mom's not going to convert.
That I don't know what she's talking about. Unclean.
I mean, my blood's unclean. My body is unclean.
You're sick.
Yeah, but that's not what I mean. I mean, I'm unclean. There's something in me that makes me unclean.
We can take you to the doctor sometime this week. I'm sure we can schedule something. Use what money we have to make sure you get a full checkup.
No, that's... And she's sort of like, you two, come help me up.
Okay.
Hey, come.
All right. I'm going.
And
And
she's
I
sort of like
keep
rushes
my
forward.
face away from her even while we're lifting.
So you sort of hoist her to her feet. And she says, all right, now let me turn around. She's got one hand on the wicker chair that she's been sitting in, which clearly has like a large sort of indent where her ass has been overflowing this poor chair. And she turns around and is sort of facing away from you two and like hunched over. And she like lifts her shirt up to reveal her lower back.
Mother, that's
Quiet, shut up. And as she sort of like pulls it back, you can see the varicose veins that are on her legs are even worse here, where it's like some varicose veins can be black and different colors. These are kind of red tinged, like a crimson, of spiderwebs snaking through, and they're sort of radiating away from something. And as she lifts it a little bit higher, you can see that right over her lower shoulder blade on the right, there's a growth or something that isn't good. What do you do?
Mother, put it down. We'll take you to the doctor this week. It's just nothing we could do today.
She says, the doctor, no, we're not even going to be able to get off this island in time. You know it takes a long time. We only get a ferry once a week.
I don't know what you expect us to do. We're not doctors.
also, why are you just now showing this? Like, if you've that had to have been there for a while.
It hasn't. No. Been there 3 days.
Okay, Mom.
And do either of you have medicine?
Probably not.
Nope. Who needs medicine?
Medicine. No. No medicine. None whatsoever.
It would be surprising. You don't really know about this stuff, but yeah, it definitely seems like it's been there for more than 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, put your skirt down. We'll I don't know, we can inquire around the area. Maybe there's a doctor.
It's actually pretty gruesome to look at. It's, even after you put the shirt down, sort of like its imprint is you're thinking about it. And
I get out my notebook and I'm just like writing. I'm not going to tell people what I'm writing, but I'm writing.
So both of you give me stability tests. So what this is you're rolling a d6 and you can spend points of your stability to add a +1 to that roll. If you fail, you will probably lose stability. Stability is like sanity in Call of Cthulhu. It's like short-term sanity.
Okay. So I have 8 stability and I rolled a 3. So if I spend a stability point.
You can only spend points, and this is obviously the first roll, so you can do whatever you want. We're going to be relaxed on the first one. But generally, you can only spend points before you roll.
Okay. So I rolled a 3.
4.
All right. So, Sophie.
Yep.
Safi, you lose 1 stability.
Okay.
And Theo, you don't. Safi, it's like stuck in your head. The way that it looks like there's veins from this growth growing like into the raised veins of your mother.
Mm-hmm.
It looks almost like a spider has stuck its legs into her veins.
So I'm writing it down, but like I keep blinking really hard trying to clear my vision, and just like I'm almost writing feverishly, and it's not in almost an obsessive way.
So your mother grunts as she turns around and then sits heavily in her chair. She says, "Been on me for 3 days and it It feels horrible.
Okay.
Can one of you give me another glass of water, please?
I use that opportunity to turn away from her, and I pour her a glass of water, and then I hand it to her without looking
With
at
like
her.
shaking hands, she takes it and
Yeah.
downs it again. What are you looking at, Theo? I told you, I'm unclean.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you really should have told us, Ma, so we weren't stuck in this situation.
Well, I'm telling you now.
Okay.
And it started raining. And your father warned me about this before he died. So he grew up here on this godforsaken rock.
It's not God-forsaken.
No, just I'm godforsaken, right?
No, you're not. No one is forsaken by God. I promise you that.
That's convenient.
It's not convenient. It was very hard for that to occur. It took a lot of sacrifice.
Well, you and I will have our disagreements about the validity of your religion.
What do you mean Father warned you about it?
This town has got a bit of a cycle. The flood brings these, and she sort of gestures to her back. And those that are unclean don't make it through the flood.
What
Please,
do you mean? What do you mean unclean?
She sort of like just shudders a little bit. She says, "You two were too young to remember. I don't even know. I think it was 30 years ago, 25 years ago, was the last flood. They happen irregularly, and there's something in the water. It stays with you. And she begins to like shake. She's clearly, it's not easy for her to tell you this. And you can tell that she's got a little bit of fear in her. She says, please don't let your mama boil. As she begins to cry.
Ma, it's gonna be okay. You might think you're unclean, but there's always a way out, and I promise I will be here for you, even at the end, seeking the cleansing of your soul.
They say that there's a way to remove these things. Once you get them, you normally can't get them off. But your daddy told me some things. And
what?
There's a person in this town that nobody likes to talk to, nobody likes to look at. I say that she can get rid of this thing. And if you can help your mama get rid of it, then I can go through the flood.
So who is the person that we're supposed to look for?
I don't know. Your father was, he said so many things, and it's hard to remember in my age.
He wasn't talking about old Gertie, was he?
I think Johnny knew her. Or knows where she is.
Okay. Well, I can talk to Johnny, sure.
I know that she lives over by the port. Over by the caves. There's an old shack. And it's got a fence around it. I think that's where she goes. And your mom is beginning to get like really tired. She says, could I just can you bring that pitcher over here, please?
I bring the pitcher closer to the bedside.
And she begins to take the half-filled pitcher and just like drink straight out of it.
Okay.
What are you two doing?
I am slowly backing out of the room.
Yeah. Mom, we'll see if we have time to inquire about this person today. Feel better and try to get some sleep.
She says, don't inquire. She's like coughing, trying to keep drinking and talking at the same time. She says, the flood is coming. It's coming now.
Okay, Mom. Gonna close the door.
So in that moment of silence as you two are out of the room, you two probably share some sort of look. What does this look say?
An exasperated sigh with a slight eye roll.
And mine is, I don't say anything, but you saw that shit, right?
I swear, she does this every time. She feels a little insecure about something.
But that growth was nothing to. It was the size of my hand.
Yeah, it was horrific. I just don't know what we can do about it.
I guess I can call Johnny. I mean, I don't think he has anything better going on right now.
Yeah, maybe this old person's a doctor, and I mean, what's the harm? But I don't know. I just feel like every time there's a chance of a productive day where we can work on something to move beyond our life here, she concocts some issue or argument that takes up the whole day.
Well, until she dies, that's just the way it's gonna be.
And I don't love her. I know that.
Wow. My brother, the seminary, breaking one of the commandments.
And Theo, it hurts you even to say that. Like, y'all are a pretty close-knit family, for better or worse. And so that probably feels like a bit of a betrayal, to say that.
Yeah. She continues to get in our way. And that's not what a parent should do.
I think that difficult parents teach us what not to be.
So, as you two are walking downstairs, which one of you is wearing socks?
Oh, I'm wearing socks.
Both wearing. Who doesn't wear socks?
I guess I was more asking just socks. Maybe because
I have
Safi was outside.
I have shoes on.
Okay. So Theo, as you touch the bottom of the landing, you feel that awful feeling of stepping into cold water.
I shiver and look down.
Your sock is kind of weird smelling and soaked. And there are definitely pools of water in this uneven floor that you all have that has all the patterns of years and years of walking and wear. It's
great.
Clear that it must be coming in through the gap between the front door and the basement.
I take off my sock and throw it against the wall. This is what I'm talking about. We wouldn't be here rotting in this house if it wasn't for her.
Well, all right. I am going to call Johnny, see if he's home. And then you can call for maybe a plumber or something to deal with this.
I don't know if we have the money to afford a plumber if we're going to be...
I just got my advance.
Is that going to cover the doctor cost too?
One thing at a time.
Safi.
There are other currencies than money. We can figure something out.
Yeah, but it's not... We shouldn't have to figure things out.
And at this time, you hear a spat of coughing coming from upstairs, filtering through the floorboards of the upper floors.
We don't have time.
All I'm saying is that I don't want you using the money that could be best put into your career on. It just kind of motions to this house, this carcass
As
of
you
a
do,
whale.
like a bit of cold water drips on your hand
Yeah.
from the rain outside.
We're living in a corpse. It's already dead. It's a waste of money. Let's just focus
So
on
what
the
do you want to
doctor.
do? Do you want to just up and leave her here?
So as you say that, Theo, you're walking forward. You've got one sock on, and you step in another puddle with that bare foot.
God darn
And
it!
you step in it, and you feel something wriggling in between your toes.
I kind of hop up and
What?
slap at my foot.
What?
You smack off, and there's this small, maybe inch-long, black thing. It looks kind of like a leech, almost, but it's got legs.
Oh God! What's so...
And you just feel gross.
All right, then.
I can't live in this house. All right.
Well, Mother's on the second floor, so let's go. And I think we're supposed to turn off the electrical box.
Do you want to make your call before you do that?
Yes, I do.
So as you ring up your friend, Johnny, it takes a little while. He's probably a pretty busy guy, so
well, also we
you
have to
wouldn't
go through the
expect it.
switchboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is one of those places where a lot of people in town share the same phone line.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to make sure that none of your neighbors are using it or anything like that. So
Oh God.
And you always have to listen for clicks in case they pop the phone and listen in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear any of that today. And then you hear, hello, what is it?
Hi, Johnny.
Oh, and like his voice like softens immediately. He says, oh, Safi, how's it going?
Hi. Well, Mom is sick still, and she said that you might know there's some older woman that lives down by the port. Mother insisted that she would be someone to talk to about her current ailment.
Old woman, you mean like one who lives by herself down by the port?
Like, I was thinking Gertie, but it could be somebody else.
You know, it might be Gertie. I don't know if I don't know her name, but yeah, I think I know who your mother's talking about, but I don't think you want to meet her.
Okay, well, I need to get her here because Mother won't rest easy until she sees this woman.
Well, she doesn't have a phone. She's not connected by anything.
Will you go over there with me then, since she's probably a little not right in the head?
So he's a little bit on the fence. So what you can do is, if you want to, you can spend a interpersonal point of your choice.
Interpersonal point. Okay.
And that will determine how you convince him.
So I okay. So I want to use, I've got 2 in credit rating.
Okay, so that would be paying him or promising him that car, giving him your old car or something like that. That would
so it wouldn't be like I'm cashing in credit with him?
No, credit rating is more of how financially stable you are.
Okay. What about assess honesty wouldn't.
So flattery, intimidation, reassurance, any of those could be very good ones.
Reassurance is what I've got.
Okay, so how do you reassure him that everything's going to be okay?
It's an old lady who lives by herself. How much trouble could she be?
You'll be here with me. I've seen her once, and I don't want to do it again. So.
Okay. Well, if you show me where she is, I will go and talk to her.
I'll go with you.
Okay.
I want you to know that you're going to regret it.
All right, sure. Do I need to roll or no?
Whenever you spend an investigative ability, you just do it.
Okay, great. So I no longer have any more assurance.
Well, so you still have that. You can't spend any points in it, but you still have that skill. So if you need to
Okay.
do 0 point spends, you can do that. If you just use the ability, you still can.
Oh, cool. Okay.
You just the spending a point is like a little bit of extra benefit that you
Got
can
it.
only do a certain times per section.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go meet Johnny, and we're gonna go see this old lady that apparently he's petrified of.
Oh, Johnny, huh? Okay.
So Theo, does a little bit of jealousy
Oh yeah.
come through?
I'll come with. Definitely don't want to be holed up in this place.
Yeah, you have a feeling your mother would want you up to talk to her to keep her company.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I don't blame you. If you turn off the breaker box,
Yeah.
then we'll go.
Breaker box is outside.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we'll go outside and.
Get our umbrellas.
I'm assuming you put shoes on and everything, Theo?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see the breaker box, and it's sparking, and it's got the power line going through it. And sort of like, they didn't do a great job setting up the power lines here because it's going across the boughs of a couple trees. And it must be insulated because it hasn't set the trees on fire, but it's not very well set up. And if that tree goes down, it would probably take the power down too.
So I'll try to just turn it off.
Okay, so you put both hands on it as you begin to pull it down, and it's sparking.
Oh, jeez.
I would like you to make a general ability test, please. I'm thinking athletics.
I.
As you avoid, though I would accept electrical repair as well if you had it.
I'll do athletics. I'll spend 2 points.
Okay. Since this is a general test,
7.
you add 1 for each point you spend. Okay, yes, you are perfectly fine. You are able to do it in a way that you shut it quickly enough and all the power goes out without shocking yourself or any other hazardous bits. You're actually pretty impressed with yourself. And with that, the lights go out in the house, and your mother says, "Hey, what's going on?
It's okay, Ma. We'll be back.
You're gonna leave me?"
We just moved to New York.
And as you head out over, you're going to Johnny's house first?
Yes. So we're going to meet Johnny, and then Johnny's going to take us to the old lady.
Okay, so Johnny's house, it's a bit of a ways through the hilly bits of this island. Luckily, Johnny was very close to you, so you're able to, you've probably known him since you were a kid.
Yeah.
And Johnny and you have always had issues, isn't that right, Theo?
Say that again. Sorry.
Johnny and you have always had some sort of issues. Never really saw eye to eye.
I wouldn't say issue. Theo's not really confrontational, but it's someone I've never. I think we could have been friends at one point in time, if not for his proximity to my sibling.
Sure. So the journey through the forest, the rain, it's thick, heavy drops that are falling on you, and it doesn't feel clean. It feels like it's got a little bit of stickiness to the rain. So you feel just gross as you walk through. Your umbrellas are battered and not very good quality. There's no wind at all.
Well, there's that at least.
And so it makes so the only sound you can hear is the sound of the rain. It even covers up the sound of the crunching. And you're having to walk through big puddles. Do you have galoshes on? Big rubber boots?
I'm sure.
Okay. So you're able to step in pretty deep puddles and it doesn't bother you. But especially Theo, I'm going to need you to do a stability test. Because you are pretty uncomfortable.
Stability. I will use 2 points.
Okay.
Oh, crap. I got a 3.
Oh, no.
3.
Yeah, 3 total.
You are pretty sure that with every step in these puddles, you're feeling more of those squirming things around your boot, and you're pretty sure in the last splash of a puddle that there's one in your boot.
Oh God, let's hurry up, and I'll just kind of,
You lose 1 stability in
I'll,
addition to the 2 you spent.
yeah, I'll start to jog my way towards the house. Like something in my shoe. I'm pretty sure this place is gross.
Yep. Okay.
Ugh.
And as you're going, there are parts where it actually is beginning to get difficult to traverse due to the waters rising.
Yeah.
And you know the high and low areas of this island, so you're able to get there. And Johnny's house, it's a kind of run-down place. It still has the electricity on, and you can hear that there's several people talking and maybe arguing inside. Johnny is waiting for you on the porch.
Hey, Al.
Hey, how's it going? I didn't know that he was coming.
Well, I mean, can you blame him? He'd be spending time with my mother by himself.
Yeah, it'd be terrible to spend time with someone that you don't want to spend time with.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, since the rain, it doesn't look like it's going to stop, let's just mosey, shall we?
Yeah, they say this is one of those rains. So,
Yeah.
And he begins to lead you. He says, so this person we're going to, I asked around in my family. They say that everybody calls this lady Joan?
Joan. Okay.
Yeah. Are you sure you want to see her?
I'm appeasing my mother, who is bedridden and has a very disgusting growth on her shoulder.
It's a process.
She's got a growth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like a tumor?
That's kind of what it looks like, but it's really disgusting, like something worse than what I put into my novels.
Oh, and your novels are amazing. So
thanks.
Yeah, I've been telling them that since they were little.
Yeah, and I was an inspiration for one of the characters too.
You were not.
I don't know. There's a lot of similarities. I'm just saying. And as you're walking through, you can see the port, where you come to like a little bit of a crest, and you can see over. There's all these boats that they're chained to the dock, but the dock is submerged right now with water. The ocean has gone over the dock, and they're sort of like floating above the tethers.
Are there any like little skiffs that we can flip over and use?
If you want to spend a point of credit rating, then you can have one.
I'll do that.
Go for it.
I spend a point of credit rating.
Money.
So tell me about this little skiff. Quickly describe it for me.
So it's a little almost like a flat bottom boat, wide enough for probably about 5 people, but 3 people is easier to maneuver. It has 2 oars and a rudder in the back. Nothing fancy, but just enough to get somewhere fairly easily.
Perfect.
Over water.
So you find yours, and you can flip it over and get it into the water, and it'll make traversing easier, certainly.
Yeah, nice.
And he sort of points to, Johnny does, he points to this house that's over, and it's surrounded by one of those beach fences where it's one of those ones clearly to keep out animals, but you could easily step over it if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's bits of scraggy, cold-looking, like soggy weeds are being pushed around by the water.
Okay. So
he says, real quick.
Yeah.
Are either of you don't have like a teeth thing, right?
What do you mean a teeth thing?
That's an ominous.
Like if if you saw someone at the dentist or you're at the dentist yourself, you wouldn't pass out, right?
No.
Okay. So let's go. We can take the boat. There's like a little bit of a path, but it's probably better to take the boat.
Yeah.
So your boat is pressing against the water. The waves are sort of non-existent. If anything, it just sort of feels like the water is going up and down. You're not being pushed in one direction or the other.
Right.
But you can tell that the water, it's not the clean ocean water that you're used to. It sort of feels like an accumulation of snow and soot and various things that's giving it a very murky look.
Well, we heard about a fire to the west of us, so maybe that's what it is.
He says, "Yeah, hey, is there something in there? I thought I saw something swimming down there."
Well, it's water.
I mean, I've felt these little leech-like things in the water. I don't know. It's gross.
Did you wait? Hold on. Go back to that. What do you mean by that? You felt them, as in you touched them?
Yeah. One got in my shoe earlier, and I stepped on one.
Did you take it out of your shoe?
Yeah.
Let me see your foot now. And please just take the oars, Sophie. Safi, just real quick. We're almost there.
Well, why am I showing you my foot?
Just humor me, okay, buddy?
Just do it, Theo.
I'll take off my shoe and.
So your sock, you tried to get it all out earlier and everything. You pull off your sock and it's like when it's soggy, it's always like a little bit difficult, and you have that cold, wet feeling. It's pretty miserable out right now.
Yeah.
And you guys can feel the boat like sort of shift a little bit as though you hit something underwater, probably like a floating barrel or something, piece of debris.
Sorry.
And you look at your foot, and your pinky toe actually has a bit of a black thing on it. Johnny says, was that what was in your boot?
No, but maybe I got bit.
And he pokes it. And it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But it does move. It's sort of like wriggles a little bit, and you can feel that.
I put back my sock in my shoe.
Are you good?
Yeah, just another thing to add to my list of baggage from my mom.
What does your mom have to do with that?
I wouldn't be out here if it wasn't for her.
I mean, it's good to get the fresh air, right?
Is this fresh air? Does this feel fresh to you, Johnny?
And like his hair is all like damped down because he doesn't have an umbrella, and he's looking cold and miserable. This like skinny Canadian guy.
Yeah. Do we feel happy?
He says, "Don't worry about it." He sort of like hops out of the boat, and he's like guiding you all to shore. He's about maybe knee deep right now, and as he's pulling you up to this house, he says, "Oh shit," and he slips.
Does he go under or just slips?
He falls to where he catches himself by his arms and elbows, so his head is above water, but basically the rest of him is submerged. And it looks like he's having a hard time getting up, like it's very slippery.
I'll try to help.
So
I will lean on the other side of the boat.
Sure, stabilize it.
Yep.
I'll just grab his hands and start pulling him up.
Give me a athletics test.
Yeah.
Though you will, it's going to be a little bit easier because you're being helped by your sister.
I'll spend 2 points.
Okay.
5.
You pull him up, and you see that he's wet, and it kind of looks like either there's mud on his arm or something, but it kind of looks like varicose veins.
Johnny, what's wrong with your arm?
Yeah.
And he's sort of like, what? And he pulls up his shirt, and you see that there's this lump there that you are positive was not there before. He says, "Oh, shit."
Language.
I think an "oh shit" is called for, dear brother.
Were you going to tell us you were sick?
I didn't have this. He's like scrambled into the boat, and he's like, you are all ashore now. that you've got him out, and he's like leaning on the beach, and he's just looking at this thing on his shoulder. And he says, "That was in the water. I could feel it crawling on me."
Lovely.
It's the flood, I guess, where we must be happening again.
What
I
do
was
you
hoping
mean?
to get out of this fucking town.
What do you mean again? Mother said again too.
It's like I don't know, it's like a cycle. It happens. And I was hoping that I didn't have to see one.
How is it that we've lived here our entire lives and we're just now hearing about this?
Well, it's probably not something people like to talk about because it's goddamn awful. He says, he
Well,
looks at his shoulder.
They should pretty well, warn the youth of the.
There's
Anyway,
the sound of
let's.
someone clearing their throat coming from towards the house.
Hello?
And you turn, you can see it's beginning to get a little bit foggy. The water has risen, even since you've been here, it's risen a couple inches.
Oh, geez.
And both of you need to make a difficult stability test because the person you see is not what you expected.
I am going to spend 2 points of stability.
6.
Okay.
8.
All right, both of you lose 1 point of stability, even though you succeeded.
No.
Because you start looking at her boots and you look up, and the first thing you see is that there's a tooth on the ground, as though it was pulled by somebody. You can see the roots and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that there's several teeth in the beach. Some of them molars, some of them various other teeth. Some of them are old and cracked. Some of them are pretty fresh looking.
Okay.
As you look up, you see the face of someone, and it makes you think of a lamprey's mouth or a shark, but if it was filled with human teeth.
Oh.
Her mouth is too wide, and it's got rows of teeth that are on top of each other and jagged holes. You can see where there's a tooth protruding through this hole. It's as though this woman has had her baby teeth push out her baby teeth being pushed out by her adult teeth, and then those got pushed out by another row of teeth. And then some of them popped out, and some were just drifted to other parts of her face. She has a tooth all the way as far up as by her eye. It looks like her skull is deformed from this. And she's just looking at you.
Are you Joan?
She nods. And she just kind of like turns her head. It looks like she's trying to speak, but it looks like it hurts.
If it's easier, I have a notebook that you can write in. And I hold out my notebook like with a shaking hand.
Johnny, by the way, is not doing well at seeing Joan.
Yeah.
He's shaking. And he's like absent-mindedly like just grabbing onto the thing on his shoulder. And he's pale-faced staring at her.
Okay.
She says, "Come in."
And I will take the lead because I'm the oldest, so clearly I have to do this. And I follow her.
She takes slow steps like someone with arthritis. And she steps right in a big puddle as she walks you each up to the house.
I take Safi's hand real quick and look at her.
What do you say? Johnny says, I'm not going in there. I can't. I'm not.
Okay, then stay with the boat and don't fall in the water.
You remember when I was talking about the house being a corpse?
Yeah?
All of this, it just feels like flies buzzing around the corpse, and I'll tell you one thing. Nothing good ever comes about being in close proximity with a corpse. It brings predators, all sorts of grotesqueries, unnatural things.
I need you to look at me. Corpses are how I make my living. So...
But that's fiction.
It doesn't matter. If we are going to make it through this, we have to take a few steps into the unknown.
Let's take a step into the unknown and just... I've been saving money. We can go to New York tonight.
As much
Johnny says,
as...
we can't get off the island. And he's like listening to your
Yeah,
conversation.
I'm like, Johnny, shut the fuck up, man.
I slap him.
And he seems really
Well, no,
stunned.
not Johnny. I
okay.
slap Theo.
Gotcha.
Remember your vows. And then I turn and I follow Joan.
I look at Johnny. And then I go
Don't go in there, man. Don't do it, please. Don't leave me out here.
There are worse things than being alone, Johnny. I head inside.
Okay. So he's pacing nervously on the beach as the door shuts behind you. And you can smell incense. And it smells kind of refreshing. Joan sits slowly into a small chair.
Mm-hmm.
She pulls 2 stools for you. It's clear that she doesn't get visitors very often.
Thank you.
And as she sits down, sort of the force of it, her jaw, which is clearly arthritic or somehow not in its proper alignment, it like clicks, and then you can hear her begin to try to form words. And as she does, you can see a single tooth by her chin just begin to like slowly fall out, and it's clearly rotting.
Is there anything that we can do to make you more comfortable, Joan? You seem to be in a great deal of pain.
And she just shakes her head.
I nod. And I sit down on the offered stool and I pat the other one to get Theo to sit next to me.
She looks at Theo expectantly.
Sit down, still rubbing my cheek.
Who are you?
Well, I'm Safi Calvert, and this is my brother Theo.
And she motions to shake your hand. Do you take her hand?
Yes.
Her hand is flabby and cold.
Do you
Theo?
need a fire?
She nods.
Theo, will you make a fire?
Yeah. And I'll go over to the fireplace and start putting some kindling in there.
Okay. If you want, you can spend... I suppose a point of explosives would be overkill.
I have piloting.
Yeah, pilots would probably know how to do that. So spend just 1 point of piloting and you can light it.
Yeah. 7.
In case you're crashed on a desert island.
Yeah, you need to start a fire in your plane so you can keep warm. So
And it's not easy because it's so damp outside. But Joan seems to have mostly waterproofed this little shack.
Yeah, I got a total of 7.
You didn't need to roll, you just need to spend a point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you make it's a pretty nice fire fairly soon, and it feels comforting. And then you turn and you see this woman and you're no longer comforted.
Yeah.
So I am like doing everything I can to look at her in the eyes without looking at her teeth.
Sure. It's not easy. And
It's not,
she's
but I'm trying really hard.
there's this awkward silence as the fire is built, and she goes over and she begins to warm up some sort of meat, it looks like, and some really hard bread that she's like soaking in water, and she brings it back and offers it to you.
Oh, thank you. I've just eaten.
Yeah, same.
She takes it herself then, and she sort of nods and like takes this like slab of meat and like places it far into her mouth, like deeper than you would expect someone would have to put it in her mouth, and you can see it like really the painful process of trying to chew.
I don't mean to. We don't mean to intrude. However, you see, our mother has requested to get help from you. She has a growth on her shoulder that apparently appeared a few days ago, and
she looks to you and she like leans forward and gets really close, and you can smell her breath. And I don't know if either of you two in real life have ever smelled the breath of someone with rotting teeth.
Yeah, it's like halitosis and it smells like poop.
Yes, and it smells like that. And with her barely able to close mouth, she looks and she says, "Calvert?"
Yes.
She sort of nods. And she pulls back and she begins to like pull up her pant leg, trying to show you something.
Brother, avert your eyes.
It's not going that high, but just in case.
This is the 40s, okay?
If I see kneecaps, I can't see kneecaps.
He's a holy man, he can't see that.
Yeah.
Listen.
And then, Safi, you see very similar varicose veins to what you saw in your mother. That image that was so hard to get out of your head. Whereas hers were sort of a deep crimson. These ones are a sickly, pale green color. But there's distinctly no tumor-like growth.
How long have you had those veins?
Since the last flood.
How did you survive?
And she like pauses and thinks of a way to say this in as few words as possible. Talking with her is a bit of a slog, and it's... Would you two each say that you're empathetic people?
Yeah.
It's clearly incredibly frustrating.
I offer her my pen or my notepad. And
she shakes her head. Again. Can't write.
Oh.
And as she takes a hunk of bread, and she's trying to be slow with it, but it's just getting and sort of filtering through her teeth and into the empty holes where a tooth has been pushed out.
Have you seen a doctor?
She looks at you, and she tries to laugh, but she can't.
I would think that this condition has probably been around her for most of her life. Am I correct?
She nods slowly.
So clearly, if doctors could have done anything for her, they would have.
So, are you a doctor? I don't know how you can help our mom.
I can remove the unclean.
Okay.
What would you require for payment?
And you can see that she just looks at you like there's no way.
There's no
As
way.
though you'd asked a dumb question.
We could bring you to her. We have a boat.
And she sort of opens the door and she looks out at the water. And the water, it's beginning to just froth the way that dirty seawater gets.
Mm-hmm.
And she shakes her head slowly. She says, I can teach you.
Teach us how to take the growth off? Okay. Well, brother, why don't you show her your toe and maybe we use that as practice?
Sure. I'll take off my sock again and show her my toe.
She doesn't touch you after this. Which is, it's pretty interesting of a dynamic change, having someone who looks so horrible not willing to touch you.
Yeah. Like, so what's the process?
This flood, it comes often. Every half decade or so.
Okay.
But never this bad.
What happens during the flood?
If you are unclean, it takes you.
What does that mean, unclean?
You boil.
Right, you boil to get an infection out or to get clothes clean.
If you're unclean and you go in the water, you boil.
All right.
She takes Theo over. She begins to look at his foot without touching it. She gestures for you to prop it up on the stool.
I'll prop it up.
And you can hear the sound from outside. You can hear Johnny wail something. It sounds painful. And she begins to take this fine salt powder and slowly drizzle it across your foot. She's beginning to make some patterns. And she tries to bring Safi over. She gestures for you to get closer.
Okay. And I have my notebook out. And so I'm going to try to write down everything I'm seeing.
And painfully, slowly, over the course of hours, she begins to teach you the words that you need to say.
Okay.
And every word she tries to tell you exactly how to pronounce it, but obviously there's only so much you can learn from a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's exhausting for her. And over the course of hours, you've written down in your notebook what you think is what she wanted you to say.
Okay.
And Joan is exhausted. Water has, at this point, it's up to the floor. You can feel it, so that the water is probably mostly submerged the small little area that you're on.
Okay.
Theo, your back is sore from sitting for so long.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're getting thirsty. What do you do about this thirst?
See if we can boil some water, because I'm not drinking whatever the heck she dips her bread in.
Okay. So you get some boiled water and wait for it to cool.
Mm-hmm.
You see that as you take it back, with all the water that's been dripping in from even small leaks in the top. It looks relatively clean, cleaner than the water that's sort of ankle deep everywhere, but it's not clean water.
I just pour it out.
I'm gonna need you to make a stability test for that.
All right. I'll spend 1 for a 5.
Okay. You're able to hold it back. You can tell that the thirst is getting more intense.
So I will help Joan get to bed.
Okay.
Because clearly she's exhausted.
Yes.
And
you will speak no more today.
And I will give her a promise that I will come back afterward and check on her.
Okay.
Because I'm going to take pity on her because she's real nice. Despite the fact that she's got a weird growth thingy going on. I'm totally putting her in my book. Okay.
So do you have oral history?
I should. Hang on. I do.
Okay. You gain 1 more point of oral history.
Yay! I have 3.
You think that each point of oral history you use, you could probably try to use this medicine recitation thing that she wanted you to do.
Okay. I'll give it a shot when it comes time.
You want to do it now?
Did she get the thing out of Theo's toe?
No, she was just teaching it to you.
Oh, okay. Then I'm going to try to get the thing out of Theo's toe.
Okay, so she's passed out, and the sound of her breathing filtered through her teeth. It sounds like wheezing. And where she's sleeping, it's on the low end of this small little cottage, and it almost looks like she's floating in some sort of salt bath because it's basically reached the level of her bed.
Oh, okay.
We should get out of here, Safi.
You don't want me to take the thing out of your toe?
With some mumbo jumbo words chanting.
Safi, do you try?
I'm going to try.
Okay. So go ahead and spend that point. So this enables you to remember and use the words in the way that you were taught, especially given the aid of your notebook.
All right.
And then, in order to
I think I just saw a dice attack someone.
It tried to attack me. I caught it. I caught
omen.
it with the thing I'm not supposed to be doing right now. My doctor's going to get mad at me.
I'm just going to send this to your doctor.
And now it's a stability test.
Okay, so it's a stability test as
stability
well
test
as...
of 4.
Okay. I'm going to spend 1 point.
Okay, because it hurts you mentally to do this.
Oh, okay.
Just like worming your tongue into all these weird syllables, not.
So I'm spending both the 1 point of oral history and my 1 point of stability, so that gives me +2, right?
No, the first one was just a requirement.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I'm doing +1. Yeah, that's a 5.
Okay.
Bam.
So you say these things and you feel powerful. You feel useful.
Yeah, for the
you
first
feel that
time
your creative
ever.
writing has finally helped you in a practical sense.
Yes.
You're doing it for the exposure, though.
I'm totally doing it for the exposure.
And as you put the salt on, you can see this thing begin to shrivel. This growth on your foot. And finally, you see it begin to retract. It clearly has parts of it that can move, and it pulls itself out of your veins. And Theo, you can feel all of this. And more than revulsion, you feel thirst.
Did it work, Safi?
It looks like it. It looks like it did work.
That doesn't make sense.
So the remnants of the varicose veins are there on your foot, maybe even almost going up to your ankle. But this thing is out of you, and it clearly was a thing.
So I'm putting his sock back on. I'm helping him with his boot, and I'm like, okay, we have to hurry.
Okay, but
Because I have to do this again. I have to do this again for Mother, and then I have to do it for Johnny, because he's got one too.
but what is happening?
I have no idea, and the only person who can tell us is fast asleep, because her teaching me took a lot out of her.
Is it? I mean, God flooded the world. All
And
right.
God made a lot of weird things happen.
He made a promise not to do it again.
Well,
You
he's not
don't see
flooding
any
the world.
rainbows right now.
He's not flooding the world. He's just flooding our town.
So what is wrong with this town that there is a
I
flood that occurs that's obviously has some form of disgusting disease or parasite in it?
On the ladder of priorities for us right now, that is not very high.
Is
Do
it?
you want to spend a point of theology?
I don't think I have theology.
How
Then switch one of
dare
your
you?
other ones that doesn't make sense for this.
Yeah,
and add it to
I'll
theology.
switch out history is good. Art history. I'll switch out art history for theology.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll spend. I'll just spend a point.
Okay.
Right. So.
Yeah. So you remember your tales from the Bible and all the things that they've taught you about the flood, and you remember that God purged the world because they were sinners, but not all of them were purged. Certain people were spared. In the Bible stories, of course, it was Noah and his family. And you wonder whether that has similar implications for the situation you're in now. Who gets spared and who doesn't?
Look, Safi. There's either something scientific going on here. Either there is a parasite or some gross thing within the water that causes this to happen, to occur every decade or two. Or this is a religious thing. This is a battle of the soul. And I think on either case, I don't know if we can do anything for Mother.
I would rather try and be wrong than not try at all.
But what does the things that you are saying, what is the cost? Nothing's free.
At this point, you hear a gurgling sound from outside.
That can't be good. I don't look outside. Johnny!
You open the door.
Yeah.
You see Johnny, and he's leaning on that low fence, which is now entirely submerged in black water. You can just see the tip of the fence. And he's leaning on it heavily.
Okay, let's get in the boat, and we will continue having this very strange discussion on our way back to the house.
Okay.
He says, what were you doing in there?
Trying to figure out how to get those leech things off of people. I think I know how. And so as soon as I do that for Mother, I will do that for you, unless I need to do that for you, in which case let's get to some higher ground and then we'll go from there.
Since you mean you can get him off, and you can tell that he's sort of hoisted himself onto this small little fence. Sort of all four of his appendages are like hanging off of it, so that he's trying to be as high in the water as he can, because it's about waist deep right now.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I seem to have gotten that knowledge, but it wore out Joan, so Joan is sleeping now, and so we need to go so that we can try to, not drown.
You can see that there's varicose veins coming up underneath his shirt, and they're like underneath his skin, right up his throat.
Oh geez. Yeah,
he looks really sickly.
Let's get to higher ground.
He says, the water, it hurts.
I know, get in the boat.
Every time I drink it, it hurts.
Then don't drink it.
and he sort of begins to try to approach you, and he says, "The boat is over here. I had to put it in dry area behind this way."
Okay.
What do you two do? He's having a very hard time walking, and he doesn't want to. It seems like he's trying to avoid any deep parts of the water.
I will go and put one of his arms around my shoulder and try to like stabilize him.
As you do, it looks like he's got burns on his hand, as though chunks of skin are sloughing off of his fingers.
Safi.
Hmm?
He's been standing in the water for hours.
Yeah.
He's unclean.
You're the man of conscience. What would you do?
Didn't you say we couldn't be unclean or something? How's your foot?
It's fine now.
And so at this point, you three are sort of going through the waist deep water.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to take the lightest parts of it. But there's a point where he slips and he leans on both of you. If he falls, he'll go entirely in the water, and he could bring one of you with. What do you do?
My priority is making sure Safi doesn't go under.
So maybe you pull her back or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you do, what do you say to Johnny as he looks horrified as he falls into the black water?
I say, hold on. And
so with the slickness that this sort of layer of slime that is accumulated on the bottom of the ground right now,
mm-hmm.
He must have stepped into a small pit and it slipped and he's caught off guard. And as he falls entirely in the water, you begin to see the water begins to bubble and begins to bubble harder and harder until it begins to boil and he begins to thrash. What are you doing?
I'm going to try to push Safi towards the boat.
Just like, get out of here?
Yeah, we got to go.
What does Safi do?
I am I'm in shock, and so like I should be screaming, but there's no voice to come out.
You can see black shapes in the water quickly swimming towards him and probably attaching to him. They don't leave. And the water is boiling. You can feel it's hot. And these black shapes are accumulating. And in your moment of hesitation, the thrashing slowly stops, but the boiling does not.
Continue pushing him.
Safi, you especially need to give me a stability test.
Yeah.
Because you just
I'm not going to add anything to it because yeah, that's a 1. So
what is your stability at right now?
3.
That's good, because you lose 2 stability and 1 sanity. So sanity, by the way, in this game is a near permanent thing.
Okay.
That means that this is something that will haunt you forever.
Yay.
As long as you're alive, you will remember his screams as he boiled to death.
For the first time in recent memory, Safi is left speechless.
Perfect. And I think with that, now's a good time to take a 10-minute break. And we can come back after that.
Be right back. Oh, there it is. All right, guys, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Bum, bum, bum.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to
Hello.
Penny for a Tale, doing Trail of Cthulhu, The Flood from Below.
Yeah.
So, why don't you two recap where we were when we last left off? What is going on?
Uh, Johnny just he fell in the water, and he and this is like me talking to Theo, trying to wrap my head around it,
You got to process.
not doing like there's a skip in the record. So he fell in the water. He fell in the water, and then he fell in the water, and then the things they the and then the steam and the bubbles and the Theo,
Yeah.
what the hell just happened?
Yeah, how is Theo handling this?
With theocracy. Theology.
Present just for you.
Safi, what if God made the promise, but he didn't make it for everywhere? What if this place right here continues to be judged?
But why? And also, why are we like the only people in town to not know about this?
People forget.
And you two know that you're some of the youngest people in town as well. This is an aging populace. But it did appear that Johnny knew. Something, at least.
You would think that they'd like pass down some kind of oral history.
You would think they just leave.
Or that. You know.
And your mother did say she wanted to.
I mean, it's like those places around the world where the natural disasters keep occurring, but people keep coming back. Once you fall in love with a place, it just kind of wraps itself around you, and home can be like a prison.
But it doesn't sound like anybody was in love with this place.
I think that's love sometimes.
That's dumb.
So is this conversation occurring as you are rowing your boat?
It is. And
I mean, how many people continue to do the things that hurt them because they love it? Why'd we stay with Mom for so long?
As you are rowing, you're passing by an area where you can feel heat radiating, and you're pretty sure you can see bubbles coming up from underneath, as though the water is boiling.
Just row past it.
You can hear shouting from up ahead. And
Can't be good.
through the rain, you can see that there is... What's the name of your church here, Theo?
Our Lady of the Perpetual Bright Cross.
Advent's Light.
Okay.
Light, okay.
So you can see the only Christian church in this town. Advent's Light. And it has a tall steeple. And you realize that only a little bit of the main hall is not submerged. And the tower is not either. So it sticks out of the water like a stick in the mud. It almost feels comically small by comparison. And there's debris and mud and shackles that are being swept all around by the rising river. And you can see that there are people in the bell tower calling out.
We should see if we can help.
But what about Mother?
Which of you is rowing?
He's rowing, obviously.
Yeah.
So, Safi, you're saying this as you're bailing out water with a bucket.
Yeah.
Because otherwise your boat threatens to fill with water and be too waterlogged to float.
Mm-hmm. Fine. We'll go to the church.
So Theo, spend a point of athletics just as
Mhm.
you get exhausted.
I spend.
And your arms are sore, your bones are cold and weary, and you're still very thirsty. It's not as much as before, but God, you could use a glass of water right now. And there's a lot of water around you.
Yeah. Gross.
But it probably would quench your thirst.
No.
So as he says that out loud, what does his sister say?
No, what?
Though I am thirsty, I cannot drink of this water.
Good, because it looks disgusting.
And as you say this, you see like this large black thing sort of swim past the boat and bump it a little bit, maybe the size
Nope.
of 2 fists.
Nope. Bailing more water out.
As you get closer to this church, you can see there's pews floating and lots of Bibles and hymnals are forever ruined. And you can hear there's a preacher who's standing on the lower part of this church with the church steeple next to it. And the preacher is proclaiming this to be the end times, calling out in a hellfire and brimstone voice about how we are sinners and we deserve this. What does that mean to Theo?
I yell out, no, you were wrong.
You can see that he has a large mass on his lower back. It's underneath his shirt, but it makes him look like a hunchback. And he has varicose veins going throughout his body.
You were spouting lies and hatred.
Accept your fate. The water will come for us all.
No, it won't. Not if you believe.
And there are people who are calling out. These are the people who you've grown up with. You know them. They're calling out from the church steeple, "Save us, please! Let us come in your boat. I can jump out. I don't want to boil."
Hold on, we'll get you one at a time. We'll make this safe, and we'll do it in a precise manner. Just
Where are we
Preacher
going
says,
to take them?
"We will all boil."
God damn it, preacher. You need to be quiet. Or I'll make you
Would you
quiet.
like to make an interpersonal spend?
Yeah, I'll do seduction.
No.
What? I have
Save that for later.
You could also spend, convert another point to theology and spend that.
Yeah, I'll spend theology.
Okay.
As
Do you quote a specific Bible verse? Or...
Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna say, he came down for our sins. This hellfire and damnation, that's the old ways. That is not the Christ of today.
And he is trying to argue with you, but it's getting hard for him to talk as he's like, the varicose veins are so much, and he stops to drink the water, and he's just just shoveling water in his face. He's sticking his whole head underwater, hanging on the edge of this church. And as he sort of stands up, you can see he's swallowed so much water, he's like bloated. And he like vomits a little bit as like water comes out of his mouth. You can see there's like black particles that are probably swimming that comes out as well. So there are 5 people in the church tower.
Okay.
That's probably more than your boat can support, but you could try.
Yeah.
One at a time, youngest first.
There's a guy up there who says, "Hell no, this isn't the Titanic. I'm not dying." And he's pushing people out of the way. All right, I'm going to jump.
Don't jump.
He's maybe 15 feet above you.
If you jump, you'll put a hole in the boat, and then where will we be?
What are you two doing to calm him down? Because he looks like a panicked animal. Okay. You recognize him as the person who runs the general store nearby.
Do I see like any handholds or anything where he could climb down?
He could, but he's not an in-shape man. It's unlikely for him to be able to do so safely.
Okay.
He's on the verge of just jumping for your boat.
Yeah.
I pick up my oar and I say, if you jump, as God is my witness, I will put you under and you'll boil.
He says, I haven't been tainted. I don't have I'm not unclean. I won't boil.
You are unclean because you've pushed aside the people around you just to save your own neck.
No, she's unclean, as he pushes out maybe a 29-year-old, probably maybe ex-flame of yours, pushes her out of the window as she screams and falls into the water, as she begins to thrash as these things swim in and begin to attach themselves to her as the water boils around.
Oh, hell no.
There are now 4 people.
I'm going to see if I can start climbing up to them.
I'm going to move the boat so that he can't jump into it.
Okay, move away a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so perhaps, Theo, you're trying to climb on more towards above the main area as opposed to the church tower. Okay, so you can get onto the top of this roof. You have the preacher in between you and the tower.
Get out of my way.
And he's trying to speak and spew more terrible words of the apocalypse at you, but all that's coming out is so much water that he's swallowed. It's almost like he's drowning. The varicose veins are in his eyes. You have a straight path, which is just the very peak of this ridge.
Yeah,
you know that if he goes into the water, he will boil.
I will start saying at the top of my lungs, for the first time in probably 10 years, the Our Father.
Oh.
And I will say it loudly to get the people on top of the church to try to say it with me.
Okay, trying
as a way to calm them down and bring back the rhythm of that.
Do you have a point of reassurance to spend?
I do.
Okay, that is a perfect use of that.
Great. I have no more reassurance left. Probably because I look like I've gone through the ringer myself.
So the man who's hanging onto the outside, even he is saying the entire verse, and everyone is sort of saying it in unison. The 3 who are in the tower still are holding hands and around the church bell. And in another situation, it would almost seem like a beautiful coming of faith, where everyone together is working to make it through hard times.
Right.
What is Theo doing? This preacher takes a shaky step towards you. You can see something black sort of come up through his eyelid and like attach to his right eye.
Is there
Veins stick its way in.
Ew.
so on the pew is this old pewter cross. And as I walk towards him, I pick it up and I say, I look at him, I say, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." And I'm gonna just send it right into his face.
Okay, so on the roof of his church, you want to hit him right in the face with the crucifix.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So you don't even need to do a roll for this. Just spend a single point of athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit him in the face as you knock him off to the side. He slides down the roof and is immediately submerged. And he was so full of these things that the water begins to boil spasmodically. You can actually see it's churning so fast that some of these things are flying out. And he quickly sinks below, and it smells like boiled meat. You can see little bits of flesh are floating to the surface. You're going to need to do a stability test for me.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just killed a man.
5.
Okay. You take 1 stability damage. You take no sanity damage.
All right, I am down to 2.
So how do you justify murder?
You just
to yourself?
killed a priest.
That's like extra damnation.
Yeah, so in my mind, he was a Pharisee.
Okay,
and
so he was no longer of the faith.
yeah,
Okay.
he was purging the unclean.
Much as he was propouting. He was trying to do the exact same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing ironic there. So as
But I
you
did it with a cross, so it was better. Also, this would be a good commercial for the melting pot. You know,
Sure.
Or the melting podcast.
Yeah, boiled meat. You know, so.
Mm-hmm. So, Safi, you just saw your brother do this.
Can't think
While-
about that right now. Keeping a big
You're busy.
guy
All
from-
right.
Keeping a big guy from jumping in my boat and killing us all.
So, would you be trying, since you gave him all that reassurance, are you
Mhm.
guiding him through climbing down?
Sure.
So he is slowly climbing down, and he's not jumping anymore. He's going to make a test. He's going to spend 2 points of athletics. And when things come intensely, apparently he calms himself down. He takes a deep breath, and he begins this watery climb. And you can see a single shingle falls off past him as he's slowly going down, but he makes it into your boat.
Okay. Now you
There
are
are-
going to hold this boat in place while we get the rest of them down.
Sure. And I'm assuming, Theo, you're guiding them and helping them into the boat.
Mm-hmm.
You are able to do so. And there's 2 very scared women. You recognize them as part of the local knitting group. They hold one every Wednesday at this very church.
Okay.
And the last one you don't recognize. Your boat now is very low.
Yeah.
Who's rowing?
So actually, when as we're kind of putting everyone on the boat, and I see that the guy who was freaking out is turned away, I'm gonna hit him upside the head with that cross.
Oh my god.
Okay, so you smack him right in the head. For this, since this is an act of very clear, it's sort of not even hot-blooded,
Mm-hmm.
it will cost you a sanity to do this. But you can do it.
Yeah,
What do you say?
So I just take it right across, caving in the back of his skull as he flops down into the water and starts to boil. And as I
Things
kind
begin to
of
attach to him.
look at everyone, kind of blood dripping from the cross that I have, I say, we can't live like that. We can't push and murder without consequence.
Give me the cross, Theo.
He could have done it to you.
Give me the cross, Theo.
It's okay. Please, please. We didn't do anything. Please don't hurt us.
You're fine. You didn't kill anyone. And I give Safi the cross. But anyone who endangers this boat, who endangers my sister. And I just kind of look at everyone. Almost
Okay,
with a
and
wild
with
look in
that,
my eye.
So since you're following your drive of protecting your sister, you get 2 stability back.
Woo!
As you're filled with this force, you will do anything.
Yep. And I am going to, do you have a rosary on your person that I see or that I know of?
Mm-hmm.
I grab your rosary and shove it into your hands. And then I take up the oars.
Nice. So now that the boat is significantly lighter, you were able to make progress.
I helped.
The 2 women who were in the knitting group, one of them, she has this thing stuck to her neck. Looks sort of like a goiter of some sort, but it's clearly one of the parasites from the water, whatever is in the water.
Mm-hmm. And I tell the women to keep bailing out the boat.
They do. They are bailing out quickly and fast, even though their thin, bony hands aren't very good at it.
Yeah. I'll as we're coming down, I'll start singing Amazing Grace.
So, to the sound of pouring rain and Amazing Grace, this boat comes upon your house, which, as far as this island goes, you were towards the top of it. And as such, you haven't been flooded.
Other doc says maybe the parasite just wants to join the knitting group.
Yeah.
Hey, fiber arts are awesome.
Just flash back to, or flash forward to next week, and the parasite just like, this is all I wanted.
Pearl, knit, pearl, knit, Pico.
I want to know what's going through each of your heads as you see your childhood home almost entirely submerged in water except for the top floor.
For Safi, it's I have no idea how we're going to survive this. And I don't know if I have the strength to do this ritual for all the survivors that we will find. And I'm scared that I've saved the wrong person.
What about Theo?
There's kind of a numbness as he's looking at this prison.
You're a changed person.
Mm-hmm. I think he's concerned about the cost of the ritual, and doesn't think his mother deserves his sister's love in this matter.
Yeah. And when Safi did this for you, it clearly took something from her. It was, you can see that the bags under her eyes are deeper. It looks like her soul is more tired.
I have a soul? Sweet.
At least in Theo's eyes.
Level up.
And as you get to this house, how do you try to enter? You could probably try to swim in and go up the stairs. You try to break a window.
I break a window.
Yeah.
And what are you doing with the people in the boat? They say, "Are you going to leave us here? Please. We can maybe keep the boat close for when you need to get out. Why are we here? Shouldn't we get to higher land?"
I have to see if my mother is still alive.
I'm just getting our mother, and we'll go.
She was never kind to you anyways, though, dearie.
Is this the person that we don't know? Did we ever get that person's name?
You can ask, but this is not that person.
Okay. I'll look at the iron cross in the bottom of the boat and say, "Thou shalt honor thy mother and father." And I will go and take the cross and break a window.
Nice. So blood drips in your hands.
Yeah, a little
the
bit.
man your father or your brother killed.
Yep.
He's fine.
And you smash through the window, and it feels sort of symbolic of you breaking out of the confines of your childhood. And you hear a voice that says, "Is that you, Safi?
Mother, are you all right?
Chloe, you're here.
I'm here.
Are you really?"
I will go to her room.
Okay, so you clamber in through the broken glass, getting small cuts.
Yep.
The water in here it's sloshing so that the floor, every once in a while, every maybe couple seconds, there is a surge and water comes through the gaps in the floor, raising anything that is buoyant up and then bringing it back down. Thea, what are you doing?
Following Safi.
So you're leaving the 3 people in charge of the boat?
Mm-hmm.
They say, "Please don't take long. We need to get out of here."
Just keep it close. It'll only be a moment.
Okay. Godspeed.
Thank you.
It's about 65. Couldn't stop myself.
And in this room, you can see your mother, and she does not look well. It's sort of a sad moment to ever see a parent in a position of complete powerlessness. And she's sitting there looking bloated in the same chair that she was sitting when she left. And she has varicose veins of this deep crimson. And they're making her face almost look as though it's covered in barnacles or calluses. What do you do?
I look at her and I look back at my brother, and then I look at my mother again and say, "Mother, do you want to go? Do you want to come with us?"
Who's us? What do you mean?
The water is rising. We have a small boat.
The flood's coming.
We're leaving the island.
We're leaving.
And as soon as she hears Theo's voice, she turns to him, and she, with just her neck, because she can't really move her body, and she says, "Oh, I didn't see you there, Theo. Why did you come? You hate me." And then she looks at her daughter. "Chloe, you've always been such a kind person. I wish that your brother could be like you."
And what she hasn't seen is that I have taken a pillow from her bed, which is now behind me. So I start to cry a little bit. I say, "It's going to be okay, Mother. I learned some things from the woman that you sent us to find."
"Yes. Should she tell you how to get rid of this, to help me, to cure me?" And as she says this, she coughs a little bit, and like seawater comes out of her mouth with the wriggling black things crawling down her face.
"Yes, Mother. Close your eyes."
And she looks at both of you. "Why?"
"It will hurt less."
"I'm cold and so wet and so thirsty."
Mother.
I look at Theo, and I put the pillow over her face. And I just don't break contact with him.
And as she begins to struggle, and the water begins to rise, and you can feel her feet begin to boil, the water keeps coming, and that's where the camera pans out to this small home, modest Canadian, and we can just hear the gurgling sound of your mother dying in your hands.
I think I take a few steps forward and place my hand over hers, kind of helping the process as we stare at each other.
If you survive this, this will be something that neither of you will ever truly get over. The guilt, the self-hatred. But you've made your decision, and the flood from below comes for us all. And that's where we're going to end it tonight.
Woo! Oh, man, I hope my mom's not watching.
Yeah, but your mom's cooler than that.
Yeah, she's awesome.
All right, well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah!
Yeah, geez, man, that was intense. I did not anticipate that, Spence. That was,
Well, listen.
I didn't expect that either.
Yeah, I was like, what the pillow?
Yep. I was gonna hit her across the head with the thing, but then figured she doesn't have enough strength for that.
Oh my gosh, that was Spence. That was.
Yeah,
She wasn't gonna let her brother, be the only murderer. She would share that shame.
Yeah.
I love the twisted family dynamic.
Yeah.
That's come out of this.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I'm the good one.
I'm technically better.
Because you get the pillow instead of the cross. I think
Yeah.
that's mercy. Who knows? But thank you, Other Doc, for the bits, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Monday, a little bit more free form than normal, but it's the end of the year. We chillaxing. Yeah. I was on vacation. But we are back in coming up. We have a lot of amazing things coming up in January.
It's gonna be so good.
There's only 2 days that I have not booked yet. We're talking about interviews with the guy who wrote the Alien RPG, with the guys who wrote Volcania RPG. What else we got? Top Secret.
Peter Bryant coming on.
Yeah, coming up. What else? We have an interview with Red Moon Role Playing, the Any winners of the last Origin Any Awards for Best Podcast of the Year. Their stuff is amazing, brilliant, beautiful. So I'm super excited about interviewing them just to see their process and what we can learn from them as players and GMs. So if you thought 2019 was action-packed, you better buckle up and put seatbelts on your eyeballs, because 2020 is going to be even crazier.
Seatbelts on eyeballs. That's...
Yeah, you just kind of go like... There's like a baby seat somewhere for one of them if they're a little
Penny for a tail, man. You guys have gone incredibly increased. So much better than when it first started. It just keeps going.
We're moving on up.
Yeah. Constant improvement. And also I'm going to be running a few games.
Spencer's gonna run games. It's gonna be amazing.
Run games. Yeah. I'm gonna run games. I'm gonna run GM-less games.
That'll be fun.
So it's gonna be a little cray-cray.
I would like to be a player.
Yeah.
So, you better be.
I'd like to do my outro. So my name is David South. I've been a keeper for everybody, and if you want to find more stuff written by me, you can go to somniacdelusions.wordpress.com, and that's my blog, where I write lots of things, including stuff with Mitchell.
Yay!
So I hope to be here on Penny for a Tail more often.
Always.
Me too.
Yeah, definitely.
For you to be on the show. I already know I'm going to be here. So.
Yeah, you're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find all my stuff at resonantmoon.com, and I did post in the chat the link to Game School, which is relevant.
Also, we're doing something special, and I'll also post this on Facebook. But we are going to have a special game of hot guys making out.
Don't make me spit out my tea for my favorite game.
And if you don't know what it's about, I think it's about hot guys making out. I don't know.
It is. It is. It's so good. Y'all, okay, so if you like manga and you like very pretty boys in very romantic situations, this is the game for you. And it also uses a really cool, unique game mechanic where you're using playing cards.
Yes. I love games that use cards because it really takes you away from the normalcy and the kind of like tradition of the regular role-playing games. So
Ben Lehman wrote this game so beautifully. It's also representation for us of the LGBT variety in gaming, which makes me super happy and full of feels.
It is super awesome. So especially we're going to do a special episode because what I want to do is because the game features two main characters who we're going to ship hardcore. I want to hear what people think, which of the Penny for a Tale staff members we should ship. And then we are going to run that game with other staff members, making sure that happens.
Yay! I call Maria.
I wanted to be Maria. She's so
You
cool.
can't be Maria.
Okay, if I'm the butler, I'm going to put a mustache on. It's going to be amazing.
You be the butler.
But yeah, I'll post it on Facebook, but make sure to check it out, and you have to vote and see which of the Penny for a Tale staff you want to ship together, and we will make it happen. I know I have some thoughts, but we want to hear what you guys think. It'll be amazing. I love shipping people.
I'd ship you and David. I think that would work.
That's a good one. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I had an anime that I'd like totally ship people. Oh, I mean, what was it? What was David Tennant and the other angel? Good Omens.
Oh, Good Omens. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are totally shippable.
It's like fanfic role-playing game.
I know, right?
Great.
So yeah, we'll talk about more of that then. But everyone have a lovely New Year and New Year's Eve, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2020.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.